verse 3 from King James, there was an excellent spirit in him. Love that. That Daniel had an excellent spirit in him. Excellent. That's what we're talking about. Our whole, and you can read certain, this whole chapter is about the lion's den, by the way. An excellent spirit in him. An excellent spirit in him. So, now, what does it have to do with what we're talking about here? We're talking about an evidence of excellence. So what does excellent mean from the Hebrew? This is Old Testament Hebrew. What does it mean from Hebrew? Aramaic Hebrew. It means abundant, more than enough, or very great. Beautiful. So he had in him a spirit that was overflowing with God's presence. That you could just see God exuding through him. He had an excellent spirit in him, an abundant spirit, a very great spirit. One at this point that was more than enough. So in other words, the Spirit of God was seen in Daniel abundantly. The Spirit of God was seen in Daniel more than enough. Come on now. The Spirit of God was seen in Daniel in a very great magnitude. So that's the first part, excellent spirit. Now here's what I want to go through next. All right. So not only do we have so from NIV, if you write this one down, it says that he also had an extraordinary spirit in him. An extraordinary spirit. Write that down if you would. So not only excellent spirit, King James, but extraordinary spirit from NIV. Now, I want to say this about this idea about this, and this we're going to only give a couple of minutes, and then we'll finish for today. How was it that Daniel demonstrated an extraordinary spirit? All right, with me. So the question is, how is it? So let me go back. So how is it? In order to make sure that we have extraordinary living is seen, first of all, when we permit. Extraordinary living is seen. In 2018, what did Daniel do? First of all, Daniel permitted. What do you mean? He permitted the life of God to be seen through him. So permit simply means, you know what it means. It means to allow, grant, or consent. So in other words, Daniel said, I'm going to permit God's will to be done in my life, even though I may want to do this myself. I'm going to permit God to use me for his glory. I'm going to permit God to be seen big in me. I'm going to permit God to be seen because even though I'm an ordinary man, he says, I serve an extraordinary God. So he permitted. So the way we were able to see the extraordinary living seen in Daniel's life, he permitted God to use him as he wanted. And when we go back later on, the first time he introduced to Daniel in Daniel chapter 3, he's coming in as a slave. And as a result of this, he could have been all bitter and upset. He said, but oh no, even in the midst of all this, I trust and rely on God. What's the first one again? It's seen when we what? Permit. Here's the next one. Also seen when we limit. What does that mean, limit? Limit simply means to restrict, restrain, or refuse. So we don't have to experience everything. People talk about, I got to do everything at least once. No, you don't. No, you don't. At some point, we have a limit. Because some of the things we invite in want to remain there. Yeah. So we got to start limiting. Now, I know you and Pookie have been friends for years, but if Pookie is pulling you down, you got to limit the interaction with Pookie. At some point, we got to say, because I'm extraordinary, because I got an extraordinary God in me, I got to limit stuff that's keeping me from doing and being what God called me to do and be. Amen. Amen. First of all, do what? Permit. Next one, what? Limit. Watch this. In order to live this extraordinary life, we're going to have to submit. Submit, what does that mean, submitting? I love that definition. It's to yield to the will or authority of another. To yield to the will or authority of another. Daniel submitted himself to God and also to the king, and also to the person over the eunuchs. He lived a life of submission. But this is a good definition. But let me, from the Aramaic Hebrew, I really want to show you this one. It's to submit that we're under God's plan, under God's purpose, and under God's power. I just love that. When we really submit, we are under God's plan. We are under His power. We are under, at that point, His purpose, His plan, His purpose there. So submitting means I'm willing to come under the plan God has for me. Under the purpose He has for me. I'm willing to come under that. Now the idea, so first of all, so Daniel did what? He did, what was the first one? Permit. What was the next one? Limit. The next one was? Submit. Now I'm saying, these are things Daniel did to demonstrate an extraordinary life. Our role is, and all year long we're going to talk about, we got to limit some stuff. We got to limit wasting all this time playing video games and watching that, all this. At some point I got to limit all these things that are keeping me from being with God. And I got to permit God to use us as He would like to do. And so now what's the next one now? What's the next one? Commit. Commit. What's commit mean? It means to promise, pledge, or perform an action. Perform from action. So I appreciate this conversation that yesterday my wife and I were talking about this whole idea. She said, I need to know clearly the definition between submit and commit. That was a good question. Between commit, submit, and commit. When I'm committing, I'm yielding to the will of another, and I'm coming under God's plan, and coming under God's purpose, and coming under God's power. This idea right now then of committing, there has to be some action. So here's this right here. So the commitment is I got to follow through on what. So I'm submitting, but commit said I got to follow through on it. There has to be some action that goes along with my submission. And now the word says, wives, submit yourselves to your own husbands in Ephesians chapter 5, verse 22. But verse 21 says, submit one to another. So let me say that. So the idea was the submission. So the submission comes in, but if I'm willing to submit, I got to commit that I'm willing to submit. I got to show I'm willing to commit. Now here's what I want to share this. Say this with me again. I am extraordinary. I am extraordinary. I am extraordinary. Y'all can kind of weak on me right now. One more good one. I am extraordinary. I would offer that right now one of the challenges that keeps us from going from ordinary to extraordinary is the consistency of committing. Got to commit. Now what are we saying? I'm going to be clear about this. Read this with me out loud. This is what I'm saying right here. We can do what? Read this with me. Not allow anyone or anything keep us from learning about the word, more about the Word of God. I'm telling you right now, now just be clear. Now, in the spirit of honesty, it's just us here. You know every time you try to come to church, something tries to come up to keep you away. Yes. Cold. Yes. Weather. It's too pretty. It's too ugly. It's too rainy. It's too and on Lord, and have mercy on Tuesday. Somebody gonna come in with a report that's gonna be due. They had all day long. So all day long. Ain't gonna come give you a report right before then. So there's always something trying to keep us from learning more about the Word. Would you agree with me on that? Yes. Some of us, it is us. But I'm saying there's always something that's trying to keep us from learning about this Word. What Daniel made a decision, the reason Daniel got put in the lion's den, which we'll see next week or in Tuesday as well, he got put in the lion's den for committing to serve God. They passed a law. You couldn't pray to anybody but the King Darius for 30 days. Daniel said, forget that. I'm going to pray, open up his windows to Jerusalem and started praying. He committed. He didn't care what the policy was. He didn't care what the procedure was. He didn't care what went on around him. He said what the practice was. He said, I am committed to serving God. I'm telling you right now, believers, we are not going to go from ordinary to extraordinary until our level of commitment is a whole lot higher than it's been. I got to commit. I got to learn this Word and trust this Word. I got to learn more about this Word. I have to go back in, and as long as we are willing to go back and not consistently commit, we're going to remain ordinary. We got this extraordinary God living in us who has this amazing year for us, this expectancy of great multitude. But until we increase our concern and our commitment and consistently commit, we're going to remain ordinary and to not go from ordinary to extraordinary. Let me make this live for you. This is the last thing I'm going to share. I want to share with you honestly where this concept. First, I had to really struggle with this in particular about this whole idea of commitment. And so I'm going to start off right here. Who is this? So, for years, I have just been I was a huge Maya Angelou fan. Just a huge fan. I appreciated like her journey and how she did not allow herself to be a victim but a victor. And she overcame so much in her life, and I admired her journey and her willingness to share. I just admired what she stood for. And so, years ago, when Sister Wanda and I were still at Bennett, Sister Wanda would always coordinate these activities. And I remember like it was yesterday, it was years ago, that she would have different dignitaries and guests come over to the president's house to have dinner, coordinate that. And I remember she sent me something out and said, and so they had a faculty member there and had a student there, or maybe more students and everything. And I don't know if I was the president of the faculty or not, but I was invited to go that Wednesday. And it started the exact same time we had service on Wednesday. I think we had it started at 6:30. It started at 6:30. So I was like, RSVP, oh man, yeah, that's wonderful. And I'm telling you, and that whole day, for me, I just couldn't get settled. I just couldn't, it just wouldn't settle in me. Because I mean, yeah, could we have still had it Bible service? Oh yeah, I'm not saying that I'm the only one that can teach Bible. But at this point, the fact I'm now challenged, do I now go in and go with the word? Or do I now go out here and fulfill a long-term desire I've had? And so I went on that night, came on the Bible study, and that night something happened weather-wise, and it was just myself, Brother Charles, and my wife. Now I'm like, I've been delivered. And so, but we went on, talked, like everybody was there. But it was such a wonderful lesson for me, because there are going to always be times, even now, where there's something tempting us or inviting us to not come in and hear the word. And I had to make a decision at that moment that I don't want to be one that's going to always be kind of going back and forth. Now, for those that went to have dinner with her, I am not saying they're going to hell. I'm just simply saying for me, where I was at that point, I needed to show God the commitment I have for Him and how appreciative I am for all He has done and how thankful I was for what He had brought me through. And I remember how I wanted to take my life and God brought me through, and how I wanted to give up and He brought me through. So the least I could do is to commit to come out here and learn more about His Word. Now would it have been wrong not to have gone? For me, I needed to show God and demonstrate it. He knew my God. I know my heart. He eating pork chops. He know my heart. I need to show God and myself that even in the midst of this amazing invitation, that I trust you, God. Now watch what God did. Now watch what happened now. So now, as I understood, that dinner went on. In fact, what I understood later was that I think even after everybody was around, I think she had to cancel. So then Sister Wanda, once again, I'm telling you, I just appreciate her so much. Then she arranged about a year later, and I was like, and I got to admit, in the spirit of transparency, I was a little bummed out by not meeting her, and I was like, right, this supposed to be mine. I was like, right here. A year later comes up, we had Sister Wanda and a bunch of us on this committee for this conference, and the speaker was going to be Dr. Angelo. I was asked to be the MC of that, and had 20 minutes of uninterrupted time with Dr. Cole and Dr. Angelo to just be there and talk. Wouldn't have had that time a year ago. And I was reminded when we were sitting there talking. Sister Wanda took this picture, by the way. I didn't even know she was taking. And I'm over there talking. Look at me. I'm all happy. They used to be. And I'm like, oh, look, they're gonna get your autograph. And so I remember, and I just will never forget this. When I got down